Hello, welcome to my game dev live stream. This is live stream number 50. It's cool. It's a pretty exciting number. It means I've been working on this game for at least 50 days. And we're only, well, what is it? Let's see. 31, 59. Plus 6, so 65 days into the year. So that means I've spent about 80% of my days so far this year working on this game, and I didn't really even start working on this until like the 3rd, I think, of the year of January. Just really more like 5 out of every 6 days. It's cool. Well, things are going good. Gonna keep working on today's project, which is weapon and combat design. Hello, Drilo Spinky. Thanks for joining. You are the first to comment, so congratulations on that. So I'm thinking that it'd be cool to use a Roman spear as like the main weapon for my character. So gonna make some notes here. We're starting off with looking at a spear attack and different maneuvers. So this is basically melee attacks. So I've got my little dude. I'll draw him. Okay. Anyways, this is the bad guy. He's like a fire spirit or something. Oh, jeez, I didn't know I could even mess all this other stuff up. Anyway, so here's our dude. He's got a... Transparency doesn't work the way I thought that it would. Okay. There, he's holding on to it. Ouch. Oof, my arms. They're broken. And he is smiling because he's a good guy. So, what's the benefit of the spear? Well, first off, it evokes ancient Roman imagery. It's a melee weapon. It's a pretty simple melee weapon at that. There's a long reach. Can throw it as well. Spear tip is sharp. And, oh yeah, sorry, that was really loud. I need to stop doing that because every time I do it, I see that the volume is like spikes. So the spear tip allows for this sort of like swiping attack, so he can sort of swinging around his body and attack things on both sides. Tactics. Legionaries of the late Republic and early Empire often carried two pila, with one sometimes being lighter than the other. Standard tactics called for Roman soldiers to throw one of them, both if time permitted, at the enemy before charging to engage with the gladius, which is this short sword. However, Alexander Smodikov has argued that the Roman infantry could use a pila at any stage in the fighting. The effect of the pilum throw was to disrupt the enemy formation by attrition and causing gaps to appear in any protective shield wall. The design of the pilum's tip was such that once wedged inside a shield, it is difficult to remove. A shield thus penetrated by a pilum became very awkward to wield and was usually discarded. This resulted in the aforementioned gaps in the protective shield wall, which could then favor the short gladius in tight hand-to-hand melee. Pila could also be used in hand-to-hand combat. One documented instance of this occurred at the Siege of Alesia, and another during Mark Antony Parthian campaign. Additionally, Pila could be employed as a thrusting implement and a barrier against cavalry charges. Some Pila had small hand guards to protect the wielder if he intended to use it as a melee weapon, but it does not appear that this was common. Cool. Allows for attacking, jumping cavalry. Slows, makes shields awkward to use once lodged in them. Maybe it can slow down enemies that have had the spear thrown at them. Cool. Those seem like pretty good reasons. Must be picked up after throwing. Romans usually had two. One was lighter for further throwing. So I like this idea that you can attack to the left or to the right. You can attack up. You can attack in a sweeping motion. And then you can throw it. So the way I see it, this would be the main weapon. You spend most of your time using this one. Any other weapons are more like dual-purpose weapons that can be used for puzzles or fighting. Other items that deal damage are just tools, which incidentally also tools for puzzles, which incidentally also deal damage. So now I'm thinking about controls. Left thrust, got a right thrust. Throw left, throw right. Sweeping attack. Upward strike. That'd be something like this with the left mouse button or the right trigger does the thrust attack. And then the right mouse button right mouse button or the left trigger would activate a throw. And then whether you are moving left or right would trigger which direction. And then for the upward strike, we gotta have something special. Maybe a jump plus a thrust does that. And then a sweeping attack would be something like a special button, or like the letter Q on the keyboard might do that. And then just as a starting point, we do these guys. Okay. That seems good. Do I want ranged attacks? Let's talk about ranged attacks down here. So, spear weapon can be thrown, but must be retrieved afterwards. Had an idea for this sort of projectile thing that could like bounce around walls. You'd like aim it and it would have like a red line coming out of it, and it would allow you to do stuff like, I don't know, just try drawing what I'm thinking here. I'm just gonna draw a slingshot because it's like gets the best idea across of what I'm thinking. So it lets you do this. It's like kind of a puzzle-y type thing, I guess. Ricochet attacks. It's less of a weapon and more of a tool, which lets you do that. I don't think I really want to do anything other than that. Spell attacks. I had some ideas for potions which are spell-like, but only give the player buffs. Had an idea for a ring of frost, which lets you freeze water slash maybe other liquids. This could potentially be used to slow down enemies or hurt fire-based enemies. It would shoot a bolt in the direction you are facing. Not sure how it would freeze water then. Maybe it would send out a blast of cold in a three-block radius. And the player's standing here and they've got their little ring on. And then there's like a blast of cold here. That's bad. Could do better. This is ice. There's also this guy over here, and he says, ouch. He takes damage. That's basically the extent of what I'm thinking for spell attacks. As for the potions, I'm going to leave the design of this for another these wouldn't do damage to enemies. Okay, I have this story here, which is just a question really. How many weapons can the player carry? It's kind of like weapon selection. I'm going to say it does not need to be equipped like other items. It has its own slot. The player has 2 spears at the start of the game. Maybe they can hold more later. If 1 spear is thrown, it must be retrieved to add it back to the player's inventory. Okay, the next 2 things are about armor and defense. Player has 50 hit points. Some simple armor can be acquired. The 50 HP does not replenish naturally, so it is intended to be a bulky amount of health. Some simple armor can be acquired, which applies a damage threshold to the player. No damage less than the, this is usually abbreviated DT, will hurt the player. Max damage threshold should be 5. I don't want to make combat a huge part of this game. I have lots of ideas about combat and stuff like that, but I want to make it pretty simple because I want to focus on the puzzle bit of this game. So, let's see. What kind of armor should the player have? At the start of the game, the player has no special armor. There's no armor with special effects. I don't want to have shields or blocking of attacks in the game. Well-timed jump should allow the player to avoid certain kinds of attacks. A well-timed attack may allow the player to stun an enemy, preventing them from attacking for a bit. That's my answer to, do I want a reflection shield? Okay. These next two stories are questions that are basically like about the combat flow. Number of attacks. Most normal combats should be able to resolve in a half dozen attacks or less. This means each attack against the player should take about 20% of So I heard about this idea. Whoa. I heard about this idea where, I think it was from Halo, where they set up the damage on the weapons to take away from the health in increments that make the player a bit more nervous. So, for example, say we're taking away health from the player in increments of 18 and they start with 100. So right here you go from 64 down to below half health. That can be pretty concerning as a first one. Like if you're just a little bit above half health or right at half health, the psychology of the situation might tell you, well, okay, I have more than half my health left, I'm still doing fine. But if you suddenly go from about 65% of your health to under half of your health, that can be quite concerning. And then when we get down towards the end, you get hit only one more time and you're out. Right? The example of this is better when compared to if we were to just take 20 away every time. Right, you go from 20 straight to 0. But if you sit there and you've got 5 health left, that can be a bit more concerning than having 20 health or having 0 health, right? Like, I don't know. It's more dramatic to be right on the threshold. So if you know that it should do about 6 attacks to kill you, you can say, okay, well, what's 100 divided by 6, and then do that exactly. So then you're dead. Or you can amp it up so that it still takes 6 to kill the player, but the last one will leave them at a very low threshold health rather than 16.5. You can leave them at just 5 health by doing 19 instead. Chicken shredded by hand. Hey. That's nice. Chicken is cool. I want to think about this differently. Hello, Electrancy. Thanks for joining. I'm doing good. I'm working on wrapping up my combat weapon design. So I've got well, my idea is that the player is going to use a spear to attack. Got some sketches here. I talked about, if I want melee attacks and what kinds of maneuvers, and if I want any sort of ranged attacks, or if I want any spell attacks. I talked about armor and defense. Now I'm working on the combat flow, like how should a normal combat play out? What does it take to kill a player? Things like that. So I think that the player should be able to kill most enemies in half dozen attacks or less, meaning each one should be about 19% of the, let's just say 16.7. That's 1/6. 16.7%. So I was talking a bit about why you might want to do these threshold numbers where it still takes, like if you wanted to take 6 attacks to kill an enemy, you could make each attack do 1/6 of the damage needed to kill it, or you could do a little bit less than 1/5. So that way there's a bit more tension in it. So I was using the calculator to show this earlier. So if the enemy's got 100 health and you want it to be, each attack to be 1/6, do like this. And then they're here with 1 attack to go and then they die. Or you could do it like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and now with the very last attack, with the previous attack you did, you're like, oh, I'm gonna kill him with this one, and you strike them, and then they're like only have 5% of their health left, and that might be a bit more dramatic than the last attack doing exactly what you need to kill them. Anyways, I read about this somewhere. They did this for Halo, and yeah, I thought it was interesting. The player should be able to sustain damage in multiple enemy encounters before needing to heal. Healing after every 3rd encounter or so seems good. Do you have any sort of ideas, Electrancy? Anything you're thinking? Each combat encounter should feel like a little puzzle of its own, since it doesn't take many attacks to kill an enemy, each individual attack should be harder to land. Don't think that I want to implement a stamina wheel or anything like that, but attacks should be what's my thought here? I only want to be able to attack so often. Maybe there is some key in the sprite animations where a few frames allow the player to land a critical hit, but it must be timed. Okay, so I've got just these last two stories to do in this sprint, or in this feature, but I don't think I'm going to get them done today. I got caught up to where I should be on my sprint burn down, but tomorrow starts a new sprint, so let's quickly take a glance at what that might be. So I'm going to look at my roadmap first. All right, remember we're here. We've got 1, 2, 3 sprints before the last sprint of March. It rolls a bit into April, but that's fine. This one here from the 21st to the 27th, I'm going to be on vacation. So I will maybe see if I can plan some sort of design during that time and just do it on paper. That seems like a good idea. But I don't think that it's... Where am I going? I'm going to Disney World. Sorry, I'm going to Disney World, Orlando, Florida. It's going to be nice and warm. So, thinking about what needs to be in the tech demo. All right, the tech demo is going to be sitting out here, like that. So I think, yeah, next sprint, doing the basic attacks seems like a really good idea. Follow it up after the weapon design. But I think that's something that needs to be on its own. And then I've got 2 sprints before then. Time warp at the end of the day. I think that this is... I need to have something that's specific to this game in the tech demo, I think. That would really make the tech demo shine. Make me feel really good about my progress. So I'm going to try and do that. I don't think I have a feature for the... Chrono box, which I want to do. And I'm okay with pushing out the tech demo a bit. Oh, thanks for watching, Electrancy. Good luck on your own stream. I'm wrapping up as well. Thanks for watching. Okay with pushing out the tech demo a little bit. I think that I want to make sure it's good. Does that automatically add a blocking link? Is blocked by chrono boxes, yes. So up next we might be doing basic attacks, file system, time warp at the end of the day, chrono boxes, and then the tech demo. So I'm going to create a sprint in the backlog. This is going to be sprint 7. Duration 1 week. It's going to start on Monday. Create another one. It's also going to be 1 week. It's going to start on the 14th. I'm going to have another one after that. This one's going to be also 1 week, but it's not going to start on the 21st. It's going to start on the 28th. Or no, I was going to see if I could plan something design-oriented there. I don't know. Sorry, spacing out a bit there, thinking about stuff. So I'm going to attach this to the next sprint. Sprint 7. It was bothering me that that was a different color. I don't know why that happened. So let me fill in some of these boxes here for the chrono boxes. I say file system is 5 and time warp at the end of the day is an 8. Let's see. This probably needs a just thinking about this. We've got to have a normal treasure chest. Treasure chest has a reset function. Chrono box inherits from treasure chest. Maybe inherits from same interface as treasure chest. UI opens when you interact with chest. Chrono box contents are preserved across time warp. Container size limits. I don't know. Maybe this takes me 5 days to do. Business value 13. I think this is like the core thing of my game. Risk reduction, opportunity enablement. Maybe enable some level of opportunity, but not much. Time criticality. Well, now pretty high because we're getting close to the tech demo, which I think is critical for. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and complete the active sprint and move the remaining things off to the next one. So I'm averaging about 33 story points in a sprint. decided how I want melee combat to work through some sketches of ideas for ranged and spell-based items, and decided how I want armor to work in my game. Armor and defense. Made some comments on what the flow of game combat should be like. So next time, to wrap up weapon design, I have to look at the, some more of the coding design. Weapons, code, design. Okay. Well, that's going to be all for tonight. Thank you for joining. I appreciate your time. And yeah, this is the big 5-0. It'll be pretty cool once we get to 100. I'm expecting that to happen this year. I mean, I'm hoping we'll get to like 250 this year at least. And that would be really cool. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment or a like saying something about what you think about 50 streams. We're barreling towards my goal for this tech demo, making a lot of progress. I think I'll feel really good after I get some of the basic attacks done. That'd be really cool. So, like I already said, that's all for tonight. Thanks. Have a nice night.